The bank continues to navigate several investigations related to the opening of fake customer accounts, forcing customers to take unnecessary auto insurance policies, unfairly charging fees tied to mortgage rates and other matters. File photo: more than 500 large U.S. companies have paid out $8.8 billion in wage theft claims since 2000 and more than half are from California, a new report finds. The companies, including mega brands Wells Fargo, Children's Hospital Los Angeles, 24 Hour Fitness, Oracle and Smart. Start your day with the news you need from the Bay Area and beyond. Sign up for our new Morning Report weekday newsletter. The long-standing practice of denying workers fair wages is pervasive, and goes far beyond sweatshops, fast food outlets and retailers, according to Philip Matera, lead author of the report. It's built into the business model of a substantial portion of corporate America, Matera said. Many of these companies will say that this was an innocent mistake. But it happens so much and with so many companies that it's hard to believe these are all accidents and that they just ran afoul of bureaucratic procedures. From cashiers to financial advisors, the report analyzed 1,200 successful wage violation lawsuits brought against large companies that have been resolved either by a verdict or settlement from 2000 through May 1 of 2018. Employers in those cases have collectively paid out billions on behalf of workers that range from cashiers and security guards to financial advisors and pharmaceutical sales representatives. Those same 500-plus companies paid another $400 million in penalties to the U.S. Department of Labor's Wage and Hour Division. The Walt Disney Co. is one of many California corporations that has boosted its profits since 2000 by forcing employees to work off the clock or by not paying their required overtime, according to a report released this week. Figures show the company was involved in 4 wage violation cases that resulted in $5.1 million in penalties. Photo by Jeff Gritchen, Orange County Register, SCNG. Photo by Jeff Gritchen, Orange County Register, SCNG. Matera wasn't surprised to learn that the lion's share of wage theft lawsuits came out of California. It's mainly because you have a stronger labor code that puts more restrictions on employers, he said. Some of it relates to issues concerning rest and meal breaks that don't exist anywhere else in the country, so more employers tend to run afoul of the rules. Many of these cases that begin in state court get transferred to federal court and then they get combined with the Federal Fair Labor Standards Act, which governs overtime and these kinds of issues. The most common issues, unpaid overtime, was the most common issue in the lawsuits, but job misclassifications and meal, rest breaks also played heavily into the mix. The issue of downing doffing also arose. Those cases involved disputes over whether workers should be paid for the time required to put on and take off protective gear. Walmart is the biggest offender on the list with 36 wage violation cases resulting in penalties totaling more than $1.4 billion since 2000. That was followed by FedEx, 15 cases totaling nearly $502.2 million, and Bank of America, 34 cases and nearly $381.5 million in penalties. California offenders. Wells Fargo ranked 4th nationwide. The San Francisco-based banking chain also tops the list of the most penalized California-based companies with 24 cases and penalties totaling $205.4 million. Oracle, a computer technology firm headquartered in Redwood Shores, ranked 2nd among California-based businesses with 10 wage violation cases and penalties of $92.3 million. When contacted about the report and the company's costly payouts, Wells Fargo issued a statement. Wells Fargo is committed to paying its team members for all of the time they work and being in compliance with all applicable employment laws, the statement said. Agreeing to settle class action lawsuits instead of continuing to litigate takes into account a number of factors, including the risks and costs of litigation, and doesn't mean that we agree with the claims that were made. Others that rank high on the California list include San Ramon-based 24-Hour Fitness, 2 cases, and more than $55.4 million in penalties. Oakland-based healthcare provider Kaiser Permanente, 9 cases, $27.7 million in penalties. Commerce-based supermarket chain Smart, 2 cases, $17.3 million in penalties. Kaiser responded by noting it was recently named number 2 on Indeed's 2018 Best Places to Work Compensation and Benefits list. Children's Hospital Los Angeles maintains the disputes against it were unfairly launched, but in a statement issued Thursday, said years of expensive and time-consuming litigation had put a significant drain on the hospital and its resources. Reaching a mutual settlement allowed the hospital to utilize its limited resources and return its focus to fulfilling its critical mission of providing access to leading-edge care and critical medical intervention to the children, the statement said. A variety of other Southern California corporations landed lower on the list, including KPC Healthcare Inc. In Santa Ana, 1 case, $14.5 million. Business services firm Alorica and Irvine, 4 cases, nearly $10 million. AAHMC Healthcare in Alhambra, 1 case, $6 million. Clothing retailer Guess Inc. In Los Angeles, 2 cases, $5.2 million. The Walt Disney Co. In Burbank, 4 cases, $5.1 million, and the Big 5 sporting goods chain in El Segundo, 2 cases, $2.6 million. Big profits. Most of the companies accused of wage theft are highly profitable. Among the dozen most penalized corporations, all but 2 had an annual income of more than $2 billion in the most recent fiscal year, the report said. Wells Fargo and a few others each logged more than $20 billion in profits. Small companies also have been the subject of labor probes, including several in Southern California. In January, the state labor commissioner assessed a chain of assisted living homes $7 million in back wages and penalties for paying 149 workers as little as $2.40 an hour. 10 elder care facilities in Laguna Niguel, Mission Viejo and Laguna Hills were likewise slapped with a federal order to pay 72 of their workers more than $173,000 in back wages. And in March, the U.S. Department of Labor charged a car wash mogul and his managers with failing to pay minimum wage and overtime to some 700 workers at facilities in Orange, Los Angeles, San Bernardino and Ventura counties over a 5-year period. Unforgivable. There is a problem in the way that large companies have been operating, Natera said. It could be poor supervision in lower levels or too much pressure from the top to squeeze costs and cut corners. But at a time when wage levels are low enough to begin with, this is unforgivable. Good Jobs First is a Washington, D.C.-based, nonprofit, nonpartisan resource center promoting accountability in economic development. The Jobs with Justice Education Fund is a national network that seeks to improve workplaces, communities and people's lives. Staff writer Margot Roosevelt contributed to this report. Sponsored content. What's view-through, and why should you track it? By if your digital ad campaign generates the same click-through rates as the average campaign, then more than 99% of people who see your ad. You might also like Parliament. Chan Chun-Sing pays tribute to former Straits Times former beauty queen injured in e-scooter accident at Straits Times. This 29-year-old made $10 million in watches in 3 years. Defolio NBA star Kevin Durant buys $12 million oceanfront Malibu mansion. Global Android taste test makes personalizing your home. Hardware Zone. LG releases a series of powerful but affordable sound Hardware Zone is Klay Thompson dating Sublime supermodel Abigail. MercuryNews.com $5 million to California University from billionaire. MercuryNews.com missing Air Force officer turns up 35 years later. MercuryNews.com recommended by